Hey, I'm Amanda, also known as I Talk Apple on YouTube. I recently completed my first year of college, and of course I'm a huge tech enthusiast, so I'd say I'm qualified to tell you that the best computer you can buy for college right now is a MacBook Air. Let's go over the general reasons why I'm recommending a MacBook Air. First of all, why am I recommending a laptop? Well, portability is important as a college student. You're going to want to be able to take your computer away from your desk, whether it's to go to the library to study, or perhaps take notes in class, if your professor lets you do that, or even to go to your friend's room down the hall. And beyond just portability, I'd stay away from like a huge 17-inch laptop because those are really heavy. That's why I'm recommending a MacBook Air. Beyond just being like 13 or 11 inches, it's an ultra portable, meaning it's unusually thin and light. So you're not going to notice it as much when it's in your backpack. Then there's the whole Mac versus PC debate. You guys can debate this in the comments if you want, just, I'm gonna kind of stay out of it. Obviously, I prefer Macs for a few reasons. They're just designed better. Not just the way they look, but the way that they feel. Also, I like the software better. I don't like Windows 8. I think it's awful and clunky and just, they're trying to do too many things. The build quality of a MacBook is just so wonderful. The trackpad is such a pleasure to use. Like, go to an electronics store, try using a bunch of PCs. The trackpads tend to be crap. You can find PCs that are very affordable with really good specs, but at the end of the day, it might not be as much of a pleasure to use as a Mac because of a crappy trackpad. Or you can find a really nice PC that is a pleasure to use if you don't mind using Windows 8, but they tend to be just as expensive as Macs. Sorry if I didn't explain that well, that's not what this video is about. Here's why the MacBook Air, as of July 2014, and probably for a while in the future as they keep upgrading it, is the best computer you can buy as a college student. First of all, it's an ultra portable. I know I touched on this already, but look at this thing. It is particularly thin and light. I love it. I carry it in my backpack all day. Doesn't bother me at all. It really stays out of your way so you can focus on your tasks, which is doing your work or watching Netflix. Beyond its portability, reviewers and consumers alike love the MacBook Air because it doesn't compromise performance. This thing is really snappy and responsive. You can run tons of applications at once without worrying about lag. RAM is also a huge factor in this, so if you are doing video editing on your computer, I'd recommend getting 8 GB of RAM. And by video editing, I don't just mean using iMovie, which is what most people do. I mean if you're using After Effects or Final Cut. Anyway, it's so snappy because it uses flash storage, that is a solid state drive as opposed to a hard drive. So apps launch faster, everything's more responsive, the computer itself turns on faster, and it's a wonderful experience. The only drawback to this is that you're not going to get as much storage in this kind of computer, and it's going to be a little more expensive to get less storage than you would on a hard drive. If you're really interested in how the MacBook Air performs, I'll have links in the description to more technical reviews, but I do know of people who use After Effects on their MacBook Air and have no problems. So there you go. Besides being super portable and very fast, the MacBook Air has outstanding battery life. The 13-inch model is advertised to get up to 12 hours, and the 11-inch model is advertised to get up to 9 hours. It's definitely not an exaggeration from what I've seen, and also from the reviews that I've seen. My 13-inch model easily gets over 10 hours of battery life when I'm just browsing the web, watching a few YouTube videos, writing stuff for school, which is what most college students do. Once you get into video editing, it's definitely going to go down, but it's still going to be 6 hours of battery life, which is great. Now that I've outlined the basics of why the MacBook Air is so great, let's consider what college students are actually doing on their computers. And when I say college students, I mean the average college student, not a film student or a graphic design student. For you guys, processing power is significantly more important, as is the quality of the display. So I'd recommend a 13-inch MacBook Pro with Retina display for you guys. So what do the vast majority of college students do? First of all, a lot of writing. It doesn't matter what major you are, if you're an English major or a biology major, you're going to be doing lots of word processing. If you're writing papers like essays or research papers or lab reports, word processors are your best friend. And yeah, Microsoft Word is the standard. However, Macs do come with Pages now for free. Pages is fine. Like, I don't think Word is really necessary as a college student. I can make a whole nother video of why Pages is like perfectly fine for someone who's writing essays and lab reports. You really don't need all of the power that Word offers, so if you want to save money, don't bother buying Word if you have a MacBook Air and you're just writing papers. So you'll note that these kinds of files that you're creating, primarily text documents, they're not large. So yeah, the MacBook Air, you can't get like a 1 terabyte hard drive on it because it's a solid state drive. It only goes up to 512 gigabytes, but you don't need a huge amount of storage space because you're not going to be making like really huge files. The base model of the MacBook Air comes with a 128 gigabyte solid state drive, and that's okay for most people. I do think that 256 gigabytes is the sweet spot. That way you will not have to worry about going overboard with like your photos or your music. But 128 gigabytes, if you don't want to spend the extra money, should be okay. You can always buy an external hard drive, like a 1 terabyte hard drive for under $100 to keep all your music and photos and all that kind of stuff. It is nice to have everything on the machine, which is why I'd say 256 is good, so you don't have to worry as much, but consider that. What do students do besides write? They read. Like, besides reading physical books like novels, they read things in digital format like PDFs that their professors email them, or articles from JSTOR that they need for a research paper. For reading, you're going to need to do a lot of scrolling. Again, that's where the MacBook Air's trackpad comes in handy because it's such a joy to use compared to trackpads on PCs. So besides reading and writing, the vast majority of time on a computer is spent on the internet and consuming media. So whether that's just going to your favorite websites, or watching lots of YouTube videos, or watching lots of Netflix, or video chatting with your family and friends back home, what do all of these activities have in common? Well, they're all pretty basic activities, like you don't need a MacBook Pro to do these things. However, it is easy for these things to accumulate, so you'll have lots of windows open at once, with videos and files you're making for school and like, I don't know, Facebook in the background, maybe you're video chatting at the same time, but it won't be an issue for the MacBook Air to handle. And you're also going to be doing lots of scrolling and typing on the computer, and the MacBook Air is just built so well that this stuff isn't like bothersome to do. Plus, the operating system, OS X Mavericks and coming soon Yosemite, has some really great features for managing lots of windows. So overall, the MacBook Air is just really the ideal choice. Quickly, let's discuss your options for screen size, 11 inches versus 13 inches. I recommend the 13-inch display because it doesn't feel as cramped. The price difference isn't enough to make me recommend the 11-inch one. With the 11-inch one, you're going to be tempted to buy an external display. Plus, the 11-inch one isn't that much lighter, and the 13-inch gets better battery life. So there you go. That's it for this video. I hope it helped you out. If you have a question you want me to answer in a video, leave it in a comment. Follow me on Twitter at iTalkApple. Check out my recent videos, which I'll have in an annotation at the end of this video. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.